This is Pet Life Radio. Let's talk pets.
The views expressed by guests on this program do not necessarily represent the views of the host or owners of the Doggy Diva show and do not necessarily constitute endorsement of products. Medical information discussed by guests on this program are those of the guests and is only for informational purposes and should not replace medical advice by your local veterinarian professional.
Hi, this is Susan Marie from the Doggy Diva show. This week, does your dog rub its face? And the amazing qualities of crystals. That's what's on our show this week. Let's get started.
Hey, did you hear that? What is that? It's the bark heard round the world. The Doggy Diva show. Here's national award-winning author and animal advocate, Susan Marie.
Hi, welcome to the Doggy Diva show, the show for animal lovers. I'm your host, Susan Marie, and as always, I'm joined by my canine co-hosts, the Doggy Divas themselves. Thank you for joining us today as we bring the experts in the pet and animal world right to you. Contact us at thedoggydiva.com. That's the DOGGYDIVA.com. We love hearing from you. So go grab a cup of coffee and your pet's favorite treat, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Take a bite out of your competition. Advertise your business with an ad in Pet Life Radio podcasts and radio shows. There is no other pet-related media that is as large and reaches more pet parents and pet lovers than Pet Life Radio. With over 7 million monthly listeners, Pet Life Radio podcasts are available on all major podcast platforms, and our live radio stream goes out to over 250 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, Odyssey, TuneIn, Stitcher, and other streaming apps. For more information on how you can advertise on the #1 pet podcast and radio network, visit PetLifeRadio.com/advertise today.
Let's Talk Pets on PetLifeRadio.com.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Doggy Diva show. I'm with Monica Leighton, president of Professional Pet Sitting, with our pet tip of the week. And Monica, I have to ask a question. I have one of my pups is constantly like rubbing face. What does it mean, like when your dog is rubbing their face?
Yeah, so that can be a lot of different things. And I know a lot of people over the years that have pets with allergy problems, they're like, oh my gosh, allergies, they're rubbing. And that can be true because dogs with allergy issues will rub their face, they'll chew out their paws, and that can be a sign that there's a dust, pollen, grass issue, sometimes even food. But allergy-driven issues can cause them to rub at their face and really chew at their paws. But there are some other things as well that can contribute to dogs just rubbing their face. And I have a pet that has allergy issues, and sometimes she'll rub at it. And I'm like, oh, allergies. And it ends up being something totally different. And so I always inform everybody some of the different things that can cause that. So even though they're rubbing at their face and they're pawing, that can be a lot of different things. It can be the mouth, it can be the nose, the eyes, the ears, or even their skin. So for example, sometimes dogs with ear infections or ear irritation will not do the whole scratch in the ear thing. Sometimes they'll simply just paw their face, trying to apply a little pressure to that ear, that it may be the start of an ear infection. And that may gradually get into the digging at the ears. So that can be an early sign of ear issues. Eyes are another thing. If you have a pet that has dry eye syndrome, or they've got some kind of eye infection or eye irritation, or even they got poked in the eye or a claw to the eye, something to where the eye's having an issue, that can be early signs of that. So before you may not necessarily be seeing a lot of discharge or anything wrong in particular, but if you see them pawing at their face, that can be them trying to kind of rub their eyes. Another thing is the nose. Their nose is very sensitive. Sometimes, they can get little bug bites or they can scratch themselves. You could always have parasite or flea issues. All of those things will kind of make them rub at their face as well. So definitely making sure none of that's an issue. Hair. So if your dog's in needing of a grooming, sometimes in their face, especially when they eat, around the bridge of the nose, all the way to the ears, can be affected because they're putting their face into their food bowl. If you have a dog, that a lot of facial hair that needs to be trimmed. If the hair is getting a little longer, sometimes it's hard to see that they may have food stuck in there, some kind of stickiness that's irritating or rubbing against the skin. And that can cause small, minor skin irritations or itchiness. And that can cause them to run or to rub, I meant as well, or paw at their face. And then last but not least are some of our wrinkly breeds. My pug is a perfect example. They have those little folds, and oftentimes they'll rub at their face because, if they're anything like my crazy pug, she's in the water dish and she's like wearing it. And it's going into all those little skin folds. And then those skin folds are getting moist. And we live in a humid environment. And you have moist, wet, humid skin that is rubbing and in close proximity to where it's not breathing. It's not getting that air to dry. And you can get dermatitis or irritations in all those skin flaps and skin folds. So just making sure that you're able to, I use a baby wipe and kind of get in there. And every week I go through and clean out her little folds and make sure she's nice and dry and no skin irritation. But it's a lot of different things can really get into that issue. But it's not knowing not to assume that, oh gosh, it's just allergies or it's just they're wiping their face to clean themselves. It can be that they're trying to tell you something. It's just knowing exactly what to look for. So definitely, checking those other things. If you have a pet that is pawing at their face a lot, just do a quick little cursory exam of your pet's face areas. Look at the eyes. Anything, leaking or red or just abnormal. Checking the ears, seeing if you see any redness or irritation, and then, along the skin, making sure there's no tiny little mats or, food stuffed in there, or they were getting some canned food and they got some of it in the hair and it's kind of gotten dried and crusty and it's right against the skin. Checking any skin folds, things like that. Because 9 out of 10 chances are there may be something that you can fix easily at home before it becomes an issue that's even larger, like a skin infection or an ear infection. So catching those kind of things early at the first signs, which would be your pet kind of starting to rub the face a little bit or paw at the face, can definitely head off bigger issues by seeing it early.
You're right. When you see your pet rubbing their face, the first thing you think of is, oh my gosh, it's allergies. They have allergies. But if you stop to think, I know that I had one and she was just rubbing her face. She kept rubbing one side of her face against her dog bed. Like she kept rubbing it. And it turned out that she had, it wasn't a major eye infection, but it was a little eye infection. And, we caught it. But, I tried cleaning it out and she just needed a little bit of ointment that cleared up really quick, from docs. But you don't know. It's sometimes not allergies. It could sometimes, like you said, be the sign of something a little more serious.
Absolutely. So yeah, just, going over the pet, kind of cursory, seeing if there's anything going on. And if you notice, something off, then, bring it to your vet's attention, because it's so much easier to treat at those early stages than it is when it's been going on for a little while.
Yeah. Catch it early and you could, head it off at the pass. That's what I say.
Absolutely.
So, Monica, as always, thank you for some great information, a great tip, and you have a great week.
Thank you so much. Have a great week.
We'll be back in just a moment. Hello, everyone. Susan Marie here to tell you about the award-winning 3-book series, The Doggy Diva Diaries. It is a trilogy of heartwarming and inspirational stories about Miss Olive, a lonely little rescue pup, hoping to find her forever family and friends and a life filled with love. In this series, Miss Olive learns that it doesn't matter what you look like on the outside, it's the kindness and love you have on the inside that counts. Available at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and other online booksellers. And please visit us at thedoggydiva.com for more information. Thank you, everyone. Coming up, crystals help my dog. Maybe they can help yours. More after this.
For those fortunate to have experienced the deep bond and unconditional love of a companion animal, the death that follows can be one of the most difficult and misunderstood losses to go through. Many times, this devastating loss goes unrecognized and trivialized by family and friends, leaving grieving pet parents struggling to find healthy ways to cope with the loss. In And I Love You Still, a thoughtful guide and remembrance journal for healing the loss of a pet, Dr. Julianne Corbin calls attention to the difficulties unique to the loss of a beloved pet and provides an interactive and compassionate guide to help you process your loss and work towards coming to a place of peace and healing. For those interested in journal therapy and looking for a professionally written and compassionate resource to help understand and reconcile the grief associated with the loss of your pet, this book is for you. And I Love You Still, a thoughtful guide and remembrance journal by Julianne Corbin, is now available for purchase on Amazon and other major book retailers.
Let's talk pets
Let's talk pets
on Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Doggy Diva Show. For those listeners that are curious and enthusiastic about crystals, you will find that The Ultimate Guide to Crystals, the book by Rachel Hancock, a crystal influencer, is a comprehensive beginner's guide to better understanding and working with stones. Inside, you will find detailed profiles and meanings for 100 stones, along with exquisite, absolutely beautiful photos and images that explore the science and the art of working with crystals. Our personal favorite is Crystal Healing for Animals, where we learn that animals are a great reminder of how connected we are to energy and how crystal healing can help support realigning our energy. And we are so happy to have with us today the author of The Ultimate Guide to Crystals and the founder of Loving Thyself Rocks, Rachel Hancock. Hey, Rachel, welcome.
Hello. Thank you so much for that beautiful intro.
Very well deserved. I love the book. I have to tell you that I have been working with crystals for a while. I have numerous books on it. And your book is the most comprehensive. The illustrations, the photos are beautiful, very self-explanatory, and it's great for someone who's beginning, who wants to understand more about it or maybe curious about it, or just want a beautiful book on their coffee table. And for those who maybe are a little more seasoned and who are looking to look for some information about, like, you have grids and different things in there. I found it fascinating. It's an absolutely gorgeous book.
Well, thank you so much.
Now, can you tell the listeners a little about yourself and about finding Loving Thyself Rocks?
Yes, absolutely. I am Rachel, as you mentioned, and I'm the author of The Ultimate Guide to Crystals, as well as the co-owner of a crystal shop called Loving Thyself Rocks with my husband, Joel. We started Loving Thyself Rocks as a mission to be more than a crystal shop, but also something that embodies what it means to love yourself unconditionally and how to spread love with others and share the incredible passion for what crystals really are and the healing powers behind them.
Now, what was your inspiration for this recently released book, The Ultimate Guide to Crystals?
So, a point in my life about 5 years ago now, actually it might be more than that now, where I experienced a near-death experience. And through that experience, I had no doctors that could help me or anything along those lines. And so at this point, I was really open to just anything that was going to help me feel better. And so I was guided to go to a massage therapist that my mother used. And she ended up doing a Reiki session, which is a energy healing massage. And during that session was the first time that I ever experienced some sort of healing. And so I was immediately drawn into it, and I started going to her a couple times. And a couple sessions later, she ended up introducing crystals on my body. And during that session, I had a complete energetic, emotional, physical, just complete release of so much trauma that I had held in my body. And so as I felt so whole and full and I came out of that session, I was just like, okay, I got to learn all the things about crystals, because there's something about this. I just need to know. And I felt really inspired, and I felt like this was my passion in life. And so, as I learned so much about crystals and we started our company, and then eventually I just felt called to start teaching others really how incredibly powerful they are. And I was inspired to write this book because I wanted people to know not only how incredibly powerful they are, but how to use them in a efficient and effective way so they can use it in their own life, and in this case, also their pets as well.
Now, for the listeners who may not be familiar with crystals, can you tell us about them?
Yes, absolutely. So, fun fact is we are actually human crystals. So without getting like too sciencey on my end, our bodies contain crystals that send and receive energy. So what happens is when you use a crystal, the crystal actually, our body recognizes the crystal's energy and it mimics that energy, which in science it's called entrainment. And what it does is it helps put your body back into balance. So just like your body will crave different vitamins when it's out of balance, or different foods when it's out of balance, your body will also crave different energy frequencies when it's out of balance. So you are attracted to those certain crystals when you are lacking a certain energy frequency.
Ah, and can you share some of the crystal healing remedies that are found in your book? Because you have a number of them. And again, it's very understandable for the person who's looking to maybe learn a little more about it, or for those who want to finesse their learning.
Yeah, absolutely. So I can give you like two examples, one for humans. So for humans, a lot of the times the questions that probably the most common question is, how do I relieve from anxiety or stress? How do I get into a state of inner peace? And so the crystals that I recommend in the book are specifically, I do pairing. So this one I did a raw lepidolite and a raw hematite. And in the book, I have a suggestion on how to do that meditation. However, if you do want to just keep it in your pocket throughout the entire day, or if you're a woman, you could put it in your bra for the entire day, and that's just going to help bring in the energy of inner peace and kind of release any stagnant or stuck or even limiting beliefs that's keeping you in that state of anxiety or stress. And then for a remedy for dogs is actually a stomach relief. I know a lot of dogs, that's probably one of the most common questions I get as well, that along with anxiety. And so for the dogs, crystals that I would recommend are 3 for 1, which is a citrine, an aquamarine, and a blue apatite. And all of that is going to work with bringing in more harmony and balance to the intestines, the digestive system. It's going to bring a little bit of release, anything that may be giving them stress, which usually results in stomach imbalances, is going to just bring that energy of release and inner peace. So you can just place that citrine on your animal's belly, the aquamarine on their throat, and then the blue apatite on their forehead.
Now, you have dogs yourself, and we'd love to hear their names. And can you tell us like how working with crystals, like how it's positively impacted their health?
Yes, absolutely. So I have 3 dogs. I have a German short-haired pointer, I have a husky, and then I have a golden doodle. And out of the three, only one of them so far has really needed the care and attention. The other two have been pretty healthy so far. And I've used it. He's actually a rescue. We rescued him he was 4 years old, and now he's 14. Mm-hmm. So I think the crystals are working.
Yes.
But he struggles with, if you know any German Shorthair Pointer, it's very common for them to have high anxiety, but he is like the next level of anxiety. And so we tried everything with him. We tried anxiety medicines. They even gave us these heart pills. They gave us CBD oil, holistic things too. Even catnip. It's supposed to work opposite of catnip for dogs. And so we tried all of those things and nothing really worked. And when I was beginning on my crystal journey, I didn't even know that crystals could work on animals, but I was called to work on it with Ruger. And I put a lepidolite. He was shaking, he was quivering, and I put a lepidolite on his forehead, and within minutes, literally minutes, he was completely just at a complete state of peace, and he was even snoring. It was so beautiful. It had me in tears because I was so grateful that worked out the way it did.
Well, and since many of our listeners have rescue pets and pets, but I mean, when you're adopting, sometimes the pet may suffer from anxiety, stress, some sort of pain, abandonment, and other like health and emotional issues. How can the Ultimate Guide to Crystals help to educate pet parents and how best to use crystals in, like it did for your dog, in helping them, to whether it be anxiety or tummy problems or whatever?
Yeah, absolutely. That was a big chapter that I wanted to make sure that I covered in detail, for that reason, for anybody that was a beginner in taking care of their pets with crystals. So I cover step by step how to go about using the crystal. What happens, if your dog isn't necessarily the one that is calm and is allowing you to just gently place the crystals. I give you different options like crystal grids, how to use those. You can also use them on their collar. You can create almost a pocket on their collar that they can wear throughout their day. Some dogs just aren't in the mood for you to put those crystals on them. They're kind of finicky with them. So I give just different examples on how you can use the crystals properly, as well as different remedies. Because when you get started with crystals, it can really feel overwhelming. So I really try to cut to the chase and make sure that every single remedy you really understood exactly what crystals to use, where to place them, how long to do it, all that good stuff.
Well, and I have to tell you from my own experience, my little dog, Miss Olive, she was with me for quite a few years. We just recently lost her. We adopted her. She was 8. She had just lost her leg to cancer, lost all her teeth. She had no medical. I had a guest on shortly after I adopted Olive. She used to come to the studio with me every Saturday. And I didn't know anything about crystals. This woman brought crystals because in the community, everybody knew about Olive. And she brought these crystals, and from the day, that was probably, I think, like in 2015, and Olive just passed in 2022. She had that necklace on every day. It helped with a lot of the emotional issues. It helped with a lot of the trauma she had gone through, both physical and mental. So I found this chapter in your book to be so spot on. And one of the things that I really enjoyed, you gave a lot of information for identifying and helping by using crystals for some, whether it be pain relief, anxiety, stomach relief. There's a number of them. But one of the things I loved was you had unconditional love. And I remember she had all these stones around her neck. They're little stones, and there was an individual knot between each one. And then there was a piece of rose quartz put into kind of like a dog tag. And she had that around her neck, and the unconditional love. It says the rose quartz boosts feelings of unconditional love, because so many of them do feel abandoned or there's some sort of trauma. So I found that to be so beautiful what you did. I mean, you totally got spot on to everything. Not that I'm an expert, but what I learned just through Olive. And she had that necklace on from the moment that it was made for her till when she passed in my arms. So I firmly believe in this, and I've seen how it positively impacts Olive. So I just thought that chapter that you did on the animals was beautiful, and it was very well explained.
Well, thank you. That's such a beautiful story. And I think anybody that's listening to that and to be able to hear your story as well, they'll find hope in their animal. I know that happens with humans, but it's also with dogs too. You know, when you hear a story, you know that there's a reason why you're meant to be listening, and then you hear your story and it's just like, okay, well, let's try this crystal thing out.
Yeah. And because you're based in Florida, if someone wants to order something, if they want to go on your website and order something, can they do that?
Yes, absolutely. We have Loving Thyself Rocks. We have thousands of different crystals options. I mean, from any type of crystal, more than 100 that's featured in this book, but also just different options as well. So to give you an example, so if you were using a crystal maybe on their body, you would want a little bit larger one, so like a palm stone, versus if you were making a pocket set that goes on their collar, you would want more of a tumble stone, so something smaller. And we really carry a variety of all different shapes and sizes for anything that the dog would need.
That's awesome. And the people, because pet parents, we need them too.
Yeah. Yes,
we need them too. It's important for us to have them too. So where can the listeners go to learn more about you, more about Loving Thyself Rocks, and your amazing and inspiring book, The Ultimate Guide to Crystals?
So for the most part, you can find us on lovingthyselfrocks.com and Instagram as well. That is our social media platform that we focus our attention on. And if you are local to the Central Florida area, with past year, we opened up our own storefront in Winter Park, Florida. That is absolutely beautiful, and you will also have a large selection. But what's even more amazing is if your dog is friendly, you can actually bring your dog in there as well.
Love that. So that's great. So it's lovingthyselfrocks.com. And before we go, Rachel, is there anything else you'd like to share with our listeners?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you are listening to this and you're curious about crystals, feel free at any moment to message us on lovingthyselfrocks.com, or we even have an Etsy that if you prefer Etsy, you could use that as well to message us. And I'm always answering. My husband's answering as well. And if you ever have any questions, like the book doesn't answer it for you, maybe I didn't provide a remedy that you're curious about, I'm always an open book, and I'm really happy to help with any questions. Even if your own personal questions, you want to try crystals for the first time, I'm also happy to help.
Well, that's very good to know. And I think that that people listening to this right now may be a little curious, and hopefully they will pursue that, and definitely that they will pursue getting your book, The Ultimate Guide to Crystals. Where is that book available?
Primarily, it's on Amazon. You can also order it on our website, lovingthyselfrocks.com. A couple other websites, if that's not suitable for you, is Target, Barnes & Noble, and Books A Million.
Thank you. And just so that everybody knows, we did select for Miss Olive's favorite things to feature The Ultimate Guide to Crystals because, as I said, we personally saw how they impacted our lives, Miss Olive and I, and so I thought that it was a wonderful book, and I know that the feedback I've gotten from, other people that I've shared this with has been very, very positive. So I wanted to thank you for that, and I want to thank you for being our guest today and for sharing the amazing quality of crystals and not only how they can impact humans, but also how they can positively impact animals, which is very near and dear to our hearts. So, Rachel, I thank you so much for being our guest. I absolutely loved and was very inspired by your story also, which is in the book on crystals. So it's The Ultimate Guide to Crystals. And would you like to give your website out one more time?
Yes, absolutely. It's lovingthyselfrock.com.
Well, thank you again, Rachel, for being our guest and for sharing such wonderful information with us.
Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed it.
It's our pleasure. We will be back in just a moment.
Pet Life Radio, the #1 pet radio network on the planet, joins forces with iHeartRadio to put the power of your pets in your pocket. Awesome! Download the iHeartRadio app and rock Pet Life Radio on your phone, on your tablet, on your Xbox, in your car. Pet talk, pet tunes, and fun pet times. Pet Life Radio and iHeartRadio. Positively Possum.
We would like to thank our guests this week. And also, as our Doggy Divas always say, please love your pets because they love you unconditionally. And please remember to adopt, foster, spay, neuter, and microchip. And as always, please have a great Diva week, everyone.
That's all for this episode of The Doggy Diva Show. To find out more, go to our website, thedoggydiva.com. Also, find us on our Facebook page, The Doggy Diva Show, and tell your fellow dog lovers about it. Don't miss Susan Marie, Miss Olive, and the Doggy Divas right here for the next episode. See you again soon. See you again soon.
Let's Talk Pets, every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.